Hello, grade 11 students. You get to listen to my voice explain your formative because Mr. Shane lost his. So, I'm going to lead you through the steps so that you do this successfully, and that begins with going to Google Drive and putting in the login, which is nisgroupa@gmail.com, and the password, which in all caps is I want dodo. Then click Next. So once you've logged into Google, just make sure that you are actually at the app, which is the Drive app. So if you didn't log directly into Drive, please go to Drive. And from there, you will see under folders, a GP folder, so go there next. From there, there's a formative assessment folder. It should show up first. And if you click on it, you will see a Word document, which is available to download. So right-click and download the Word document so that you have a copy on your computer. So this is what the Word document looks like, and it is going to help lead you through this formative. So as you can see, the task that you have first is you need to find a graph which is related to your research question. Mind that it can either support or go against your research question. So this is our first step. We need to find a graph related to our research question. So you need to go back into your browser, and I would suggest typing your topic, for example, climate change, into the search bar. So you can type in, for example, as Mr. Shane did, and he's coughing, climate change graph. Okay, so if you type that in and then click images, obviously you will have a lot of climate change graphs. So now for the hard part. You need to make sure you choose a graph that is representative of something that could possibly be done for IELTS. So this graph is, well, it's too simple. So this graph will not do. This graph, I have no idea even what this graph is showing. So this graph is definitely too complicated. This graph, however, looks like something that actually could be an IELTS exam. So, like with Goldilocks and Three Bears, this graph is just right. So what you're going to want to do is copy your graph and then paste it into where it says put your graph here. Please make sure that your graph fits as best as possible into the allotted area. So once you have your graph pasted and formatted appropriately, what you will find below is a template for you to write a 150-word response as if it were an IELTS Part 1 graph description task. So it's broken down for you. So the first part tells you that you need to explain what the graph shows. Generally, this involves detailing where, what, when, and or who. And it should be about 1 or 2 sentences. You would start it off with something like this graph illustrates or this graph shows, and then you would describe what is being shown in the graph, as well as the dates and any other relevant information. So no opinion, no data reporting, just saying exactly what the graph shows. The second thing that you would do in an IELTS style essay response is you would give an overview of 1 to 3 general trends. This is kind of the summary section. So don't include any data, just say the most significant trends overall. This should be about 1 or 2 sentences. I believe you had an example where this paragraph was at the end. That's also okay, but my personal suggestion is to do it second after explaining the graph, because in the real IELTS exam, it's really hard to write in 20 minutes. So a good way to start is just with overall and say 1, 2, maybe 3 trends that you see. All right, so after you introduce the graph, give your overall paragraph, now you're to the bulk of the essay. And this is where you're going to write about the key details and information which are shown in the graph. So the important thing here is you are not going to report on every single piece of data. You are not going to report on every single increase or decrease that you see. You need to pick the most important pieces of information to relay in your description. So the thing I would recommend is to look at the data carefully and try to group information together. So for example, if I'm looking at this graph, I would probably write a paragraph dealing with the orange and blue line, and then I would probably write a paragraph dealing with, I don't know what color this is, purple and green, because they both experienced similar trends. So think about the way you're going to group your paragraphs. In IELTS, you are marked for being able to compare data and to contrast data. So an easy way to do that is to group similar pieces of information together in the same paragraph, like the colored lines we just saw, and then the dissimilar lines in another paragraph. So if you have questions about this, you can always ask your teacher, but it's logical to group paragraphs thusly. Once you have finished with this, you are going to save it as one file. So you save the file. Okay, so you save the file, and then you're going to go back, and you're going to go down, and you are going to delete everything that you just wrote. Mind you, this needs to be after you saved it, so we just saved it. Okay, so once you have deleted everything you wrote, please leave the graph. That's important. And then go back and save your file again. Maybe you could save this one as copy with no text, something like this. But save it as another file name. So now you should have essentially 2 files. One file that had your writing, your response answer to the task 1 style graph, and one that just has the graph and just blank space for the response. What you're going to do from here is you are going to send both of these to your teacher. So find out your teacher's email, and in one single email, state who is responsible for this formative, first of all, in the email. And after that, you are going to attach both versions of what you just worked down. So please attach the first version with your essay response, and also please attach the second version with nothing but the graph picture. So I think that is all, and I wish you guys good luck.